Hi everyone, this is Lifelane and I welcome you in my creative lab, where I make different types of handmade and DIY photos and humans. So if you like this kind of things, stay tuned. In this video I'm going to share with you the key moments of hand sewing these jeans for my Moto. For this project, I customized some free patterns of cargo pants for Pear Bodies and cut it out all the details from my old jeans, hoping that this will reduce the risk of staining. Also, I did my best to save the washed edges of the jeans for the texture. I used dark gray and dark blue armored threads for top stitching and dark blue and white for inner seams. Inner seams I laid down using running stitch. It saves me a huge amount of time and carries the function of attaching the details before I lay down the top stitch. The first front pocket is ready, and I cut accurately the corner of the pocket to reduce the tension of the fabric. I turn it inside out and press, trying my best to hide the inner hem of the pocket inside the pocket. And while I'm near the iron, I press back pockets as well, pressing the corners inside to make looking good edge. I'm going to cut out the extra fabric from the corners when I will be sewing. And I'm ready to sew the back. I do my best to match the washed edges of the seams and attaching them with the running stitch. The trick is to lay down the running stitch forward and backward, and going backwards I need to lay down stitches in the middle of the previous stitches. This technique reduces the steps between stitches and makes the seam looking more accurate. I press every seam after sewing. I'm overlocking the edges with variation of blanket stitch. Which I already showed in my previous video about sewing harem pants. After overlocking the edges, I lay down double stitch with dark gray and dark blue armored threads using backstitch. long as the seam is made by hand, I have to be very accurate and check every couple of centimeters the thickness between the lines and the accuracy of the stitches. If something went wrong, I need to go back for a couple of stitches and start over again. So it's basically easier to check things all the time when wasting time for inaccuracy. For the front pockets, I use double running stitches because, at my opinion, this pocket can be seen from the inside, so it should be equal in both sides, inner and front. I used 2 needles here for this stitch, and I think it lays down it more accurately this way. I'm not overlooking the seams of front pockets because instead of this I use French technique to hide the seam allowance inside the seam. So as you can see, the seam allowance securely hidden in the seam. I check if the washed edges of the seams are matching to close the inside side of the book. And overlooking seam allowances. Here I check the width between two double stitches and it doesn't, so I need to lay down the lower part of the double stitch over again. And this time I try to calibrate my eye that double stitches match. All looks good and I may continue. I may tell by the experience that sewing the pockets at this point wasn't the right decision, as I think I placed them lower than they should be. Well, it has its right to leave, but in the future I would sew pockets much later, because it would be much easier to put them in place and make their position right. Before sewing pockets into position, I cut out the extra fabric from the corners. And overlocking the edge of the top hem. The rest of seam allowance will be hidden under the double stitch of French seam. Now I need to attach together the thigh and the shin details of the back. In the knee area, I lay down only one seam of backward stitches with gray armored thread. At front, I start with darts at the knee tails. And then attaching front details together, matching the washed seams. I'm checking the seam and it doesn't seem right, so I'm making it one more time. This time I'm pinning the middle part and the end of the seam. And now it's correct. I'm laying top stitch at the knee area with dark gray armored thread again. And I'm attaching front thigh detail to the knee, trying to be as accurate as I can be in matching washed edges of the seam. Here's the progress of the front. And I'm finishing it with the backward stitches at the top knee detail. I'm overlocking fly front. And laying top stitch for the inside part of the fly front. After that, I'm measuring and outlining the top part of the fly front. It's a crucial part, so I take my time trying to check things like 7 times before sewing. I must admit that the fly front was the hardest part of the whole jeans project. That's why I started with side seam. Before sewing, I match and pin all the crucial parts of side seam, like darts of the knee at the front and the middle seam of the back, the washed edges of the bottom leg, and so on. I've got some issues in matching lengths of front and back sheen detail, so I'm not sure I made everything right, but I corrected it with the seam later by stretching the fabric a bit. So this how attached parts of back and front look like now. I messed up with cutting the washed parts of the seam, and it should be from back, but I cut it from the front, and I had to fold the seam front and back to not fold the front pocket area, as it would be too much layers of the fabric there. So I'm laying double stitch at the side seam, here partly on the back. I'm cutting accurately the middle of the bottom leg seam under the overlocking stitch, not to harm the seam, to reduce the number of layers in the bottom leg seam by folding the parts of the seam in different directions. And laying down first part of the double seam with dark gray thread. That's it for now. We'll continue next week. Thanks for watching and bye bye.